Hello, this is your Executive Director, Angelia, with part 3 of Healing Families' Lives, Who is Your Inner Child class. Um, and like I said, we were going to do these, in the libraries and offer to do them around. Of course, then, COVID-19 hops in, and so we're going ahead and doing it here for you. And hopefully when all this settles down, we can do it out there again. But we left off talking about touch, how animals who were tested that did not get physical touch as infants developed heart disease later on. So that's how important it is that you touch and love and take care of your babies. And then we're going to continue on that subject. Touch leaves us feeling contented and cared for. Hugs and appropriate touch let children know they are loved. Hugging kids does them nothing but good. Attention. A child must be attended to so it feels secure. Giving it attention makes it feel valued. It makes it feel safe. Like someone will be there for it if anything dangerous happens. Now, life is full of dangerous stuff, isn't it? It makes the child feel secure that whatever it needs, you will be there to help it. It makes it feel loved. Mirroring and echoing. When we mirror or echo an infant, it feels validated. Even though you look silly going and stuff, it doesn't matter. It makes the baby happy. It feels like, hey, yeah, what I'm doing is important and they're, showing me and it's cool. It does the same for children and adults. We are feeling and thinking beings. Mirroring can be when a parent copies the infant's facial expressions, like I just said a while ago, with a little tongue or something that, the babies think that's just awesome that you're having that exchange. They can't speak to you yet, but you're having a conversation of sorts. When we mirror a child's actions, like when you get down and play, with your kids. When we echo the child's sounds. When we meet its nonverbal needs so that it understands that we understand it. If parents cannot meet these first few needs, the child will not grow to its optimum without intervention. The child may need mental or emotional counseling in future. The child may turn to religion when it's older to get its needs met. And cults capitalize on this. However it copes later on, its growth is stunted. Some parents are so impoverished and needy that they use the infant to get their own needs met. Babies know. They can tell when a parent is needy. They can predict what the parent wants and try to respond in accord. This is not a normal relationship. This is also damaging to the child. This denies the child the attention it should be getting, not giving. Excuse me here, a little ear itch. This is also stifling to the child's own inner self and child within. The toll grows on the child as it does. The child can suffer physically, mentally, and spiritually by parenting their parent. Guidance. Guidance is just that. It's helping your child to develop and grow, guiding them through their life. It can be giving advice during troubling times. It can be assisting a child in hard tasks, but not doing it for them, or to achieve its goals. It can be any form of help. It can be verbal or nonverbal. It includes modeling and teaching appropriate behavior. Let me say that again. Teaching appropriate behavior and social skills. Listening, participating, and accepting. It helps us to know that someone hears us, even if they don't agree or understand. These things are nourishing to a child. Allowing a child to participate in activities it is interested in encourages growth. And when I say nourishing, I mean, to their psyche, so that they can grow, not like food, but it's nourishing to their psyche. Accepting who the child is shows them that it is okay to be themselves. This is important to us at all levels of development. It shows the child that we are aware of them, that we take them seriously, that we admire them, and not that we just want them to grow up and be this little cookie cutter perfect person that we think they should be. If you had failures growing up and you didn't end up who you felt like you should be, don't put that on your kids and try to make them, the super smart doctor or the, super great athlete, like some of these parents that I see out there. It's not about you anymore. You had your shot growing up. It's about them now. That we take them seriously, that we admire them. We can show them by acceptance and respecting them. Because if you're forcing your child to do something that they, are not good at and don't like, that's not accepting. That's going to put them down a wrong road, because the best way to guide them is to lead them in areas that they are good at. Competency builds confidence and will make you even better at the thing that you're doing. By validating them, by being tolerant of their feelings. Yes, children have feelings, and they should be allowed to have their feelings. Not told that, they're not okay and that they shouldn't feel that way. This allows the child to be their authentic self and to grow as a person. So, now you may see how some of your needs may not have been met and still may not be met. You may only be half of who you are meant to be. Opportunity to grieve losses and to grow. Loss is an experience. We need to be able to grieve it. It need not be a real loss. It can be a perceived loss. We must work through our pain and suffering associated with it. Like, they lose their favorite teddy bear. It went out the window, it went down in the ditch in a ravine, you can't get it back. That's a loss to them. That's a loss. They just lost their best friend. To you, it's just a stupid little stuffed teddy bear. To them, that's their little security person, their little best friend. It's a loss. We must work through our pain and suffering associated with it. It takes time. If we grieve our losses to completion, we grow from it. Grieving and growing is a major part of life we need to master. A supportive person will not interfere with your inner child's desire to seek for itself. A supportive person will allow you to receive input and to create. A supportive person will do everything possible to help you be your ultimate self. A supportive person will help you to find you. And I'm telling you that because some of you might not know supportive people when you find them. Being supportive involves loyalty and trust. A true relationship will encourage the other person to find their inner self. We need to do this to grow. Our inner self needs to feel trusted and to feel trustworthy. One of our basic needs is to achieve, which is empowering. When we feel our own power, we can feel like we are capable of the mastery of our own lives. We can learn that for the most part, we are in control of our lives. We have the potential to be masters of our lives. When we believe that we are capable of accomplishing a task, we are more likely to take it on. We gain a level of self-esteem with each mastered task. With each completed task, we gain confidence. Being aware that a task is completed can be a problem for some compulsive people. The best feeling in life is that we have made a contribution. This gives meaning to the things we do. People who grow up in abusive or neglectful families can find it difficult to finish tasks, or to even make their own decisions if their parents were very controlling, and they were never allowed to. This is because their primary support givers did not give them the tools or skills to do these things. Some survivors of abuse and neglect can overcome these things and achieve high goals, but some of them are never great at personal relationships. We all need to change and grow. If we constantly use escape or fantasy, we will never achieve, I'm going to turn my page here, our potential. But we need to break monotony in our lives to feel mentally healthy. So, daydreaming during downtime, playing sports, arts and crafts, and maybe even a nap on an overwhelming day can really help. Fun is also a part of being mentally and emotionally healthy. Some people from abusive or neglectful families have trouble relaxing, not to mention having fun. Our inner child desires to be spontaneous and have fun sometimes. Sexuality is a human need. Sex is not just an act. Survivors of abuse or neglectful homes can have trouble with their sexual identity, especially if they were molested or sexually assaulted. They may therefore think that sexuality is bad. Exploration is human need. Being responsible is also a task that we must learn to live a fulfilling life. Being spontaneous is not the same thing as being impulsive. Spontaneous moments mean being flexible and doing something we wouldn't normally. Being impulsive means that we do whatever comes to mind without thinking it through. See the difference there? Usually being impulsive works against our best interests, because an impulse usually comes from your fight or flight, and it's usually just a gut reaction that is wanting to take care of things or get things done right now, or to do what it wants right now. It's usually not something that you think through and decide is a good decision or a bad decision for yourself. We are born with the needs to be nurtured. When we are appropriately nurtured, it means that our primary caregivers have met all of our needs successfully. That requires diligence, love, patience, and a desire for the child's best outcome. This doesn't always happen. This means the caregiver must be capable of properly nurturing the child. If you were not properly nurtured as a child, the most loving thing that you can do for yourself is to let go of that. Become your own best parent now. And that might be silly to you, but it works. If you decide, well, there's nothing I can do about the way they raised me, but now I'm going to take care of me. And you can do it. And take the best care of yourself that you can. When you surrender to the thought that your primary caregivers were mentally or emotionally incapable of properly nurturing you, you can then move forward and nurture yourself. You have the right to be taken care of properly. I have seen this work for people many times. Many families have made peace this way. When you look at your caregivers as people, you can see that they have faults too, and may not have even known how to go about raising a child. It is perfectly normal to meet a child's needs as soon as they arise. Children tended to in the crib as soon as they cry less. Children fed on demand as they can hold it have less colic and eating problems later on. And I know both of these things are true. My kids all slept through the night by the time they were 3 months old. And I have people that would tell me, oh, my kid is 2 years old, they still don't sleep through the night. Really? Do you tend to them? Oh, no, we don't believe in that. We let them cry it out. Well, you just taught your child that you're not responsible and securely attached enough to come take care of their needs. What you taught them was they're in a bad, scary place and they're not being taken care of. That's what you taught them. And then feeding. No certain feeding time when they're that young. You know, when they're older, when they're 5, they can start eating in meal times like everybody else. They have small tummies. When they get hungry, they need to be fed, you know, and when they're not hungry and spitting it out, you know, if you're sitting there, no, you're going to take this. I've seen mothers do this, and I just want to go over there and go, but of course I don't do that. But, you know, I'll say, hey, it looks like they're not hungry. And of course, other people are usually like, well, who are you? Mind your own business. But, you know, then if you teach them, I tell them I teach parenting skills, then they might take an interest and say, oh, you know. But the thing is, if you're force feeding your kid, and I've known people do it, your kid's going to have colic, and you're going, why does my kid have colic all the time? I don't understand. I do. Jeez, people. And it can also lead to eating disorders later on. Either eating not enough, or they're going to get fat, or, you know, eating too much. Children held, hugged, and played with are more secure. Unconditional love is what everybody dreams of. Jesus provided this for us all. He was an example. However, being a martyr yourself is not good for your highest good. When you martyr yourself, you allow others to use you to attain whatever they want from you. And you gain nothing. And I know someone who's a really good person, and they bend over backwards for their mother, and she is the most ungrateful, selfish person I've ever met in my entire life. She's an absolute narcissistic sociopath. And yet, he still tries to please her and make her happy, and it's never going to happen. Because she is just mentally incapable of being a decent person. You only decide that all people are users and don't care about you, because a lot of people have that. If they've been used or abused in the past, they generalize and say everybody's like that. And of course, everybody is not like that. I've seen it in many survivors. That's true. The desire to be good makes them an ultimate people pleaser, only to have them burn out from trying to be perfect and swing to the opposite pole of preferring to be alone. For many people, love is something hard to understand. They never felt loved growing up. So what is this thing that people keep talking about? And how do they express it? And what do they want from it? The unloved have a problem understanding something that they've never known. And that's sad. Our mother is our first example of love. Then, other family members. Family friends or caregivers are supposed to provide help to meet a child's needs. However, when these people are unable to meet our needs, it teaches us that people are unreliable. We get the impression that no one is capable of helping us to meet our needs. And we are the only one that we can rely on. Not every mother wants to be pregnant or have a baby. Sometimes it just happens. And my thought on that is, we all know how it happens. So if you're doing something that could make it happen, then you're responsible for that if that's your choice. And she feels the obligation to give the child life. This can be detrimental to her mental and emotional health. When we are in recovery, we can look back and decide if an abusive or neglectful mother or even wanted to be our mother. We can then grieve for that unwanted child and vow to take care of them ourselves. We can raise ourselves through childhood, adolescence, and adulthood in a matter of months or years. Sometimes we grieve over things that we didn't want or need but got. Abused children certainly didn't want that in their lives. We can cry and grieve for that inner child and take them in our arms and be their best parent. It's just like any other grieving process and will take time. Many parents were mentally or emotionally incapable of meeting our needs. This could be due to their needs never being met in childhood, or that some adult need was not being met, which put stress on the family. This led them to using or abusing the child as an outlet, which is unhealthy for all involved. We can't help the environment that we were born into, but when we are adults, we can choose our support systems. We can parent ourselves and even our own children in the way that we would have wanted to be parented. Using a child as a scapegoat or a sex toy shows that the person abusing them is in deep mental and emotional stress themselves, probably from being abused themselves. Children often survive their abuse. Without proper counseling or coaching, these abused children grow up to become abusers themselves over half of the time. That's why I tell everyone, get help. Personally, I think at the age of 18, everyone should go get some counseling just to see how things were, what went on, and basically, debrief your childhood. It's not a bad idea. Only when the abused child receives counseling or coaching, or with years of self-help, does the abused child develop a strong, true self that their counterparts who weren't abused were lucky enough to start out with. Some abused children build fragile, exaggerated false selves and really don't want to look too deeply into themselves to find out who they really are, because it's just too scary a proposition. Some survivors of abuse remain codependent their whole lives. To some people, it's hard to believe that a mother would not instantly love their child. They don't want to believe that anyone would use a child as an inappropriate outlet. Yet, we know that these things do happen. Many families are troubled and dysfunctional. This can lead to an adult who is confused in general. This can lead to an adult who is mentally and emotionally a child. This can also lead to an adult who purposefully takes on a false persona and uses others. So that they never have to face the truth about themselves. The truth that their inner child within was abused, neglected, or molested. So, start today by being your inner child's best parent. Start in a quiet place. Go back in time in your mind and think about the earliest things you can remember. As you do, grieve with your inner child. Feel anger with your inner child. Try to figure things out, if it's even possible, with your inner child. Not everything will have an answer, and you may have to let it go, like a leaf on the wind. This can become obsessive because you want to get it over with as soon as possible. But it doesn't work that way. My recommendation is to take an hour a week and sit with your inner child. Go through as much as you can remember. And things will pop up that you didn't remember, most likely. That's why a week's time is recommended. To find, process, and digest all of these memories before moving on to the next ones, so that you don't get overwhelmed. Start by age. All of your year 1 memories, and it probably won't be very many, if any. Year 2, again, maybe 1 or 2. Year 3, a little more, and so on. Write it all down in a journal, noting what conclusions you both came up with. That's you and your inner child. When you have exhausted this process, and it may take years, so be gentle with yourself. Tell your inner child that you are there for them. And do this at the beginning. You don't do this after years. You do this from the beginning, is tell your inner child this. And move forward with your new awareness that you are now in charge of yourself. Your inner child may have been wounded, but that is all in the past. You can heal yourself using your higher power, God, Jesus, etc. You can make wise decisions for yourself. You can love yourself and care for yourself to your highest natural good. That is the best gift any child could ever get. And you heard our bell, so that's all for now. Hope you found this educational and informational. Please like, share, and subscribe. And that's all for now. Until next time.